Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my shop. My name is Steve. Today we've got another project, and today it's about the gas tank on my sister's 21 Stutz. The gas tank was full of crud, and I worked on a little video on it on the rotisserie to spin this thing around and get it clean. And we got a pretty good job on it. No rust in the bottom anymore. Used that evapo-rust solvent and some rocks and put it in a rotisserie and spun it for a while. And actually what happened when I did that for several hours, we opened up a defect right here on the bottom of the tank. It had been patched once before, and the metal had actually corroded, I guess. I don't know what the metal was they used, but I had a little hole about the size of a pea in here, and so we had to wipe off the old solder and start over, and I put a piece of copper plate on here and soldered it up so it should be good as new. But that's not the job today, and I'm sorry I didn't video that for you, but maybe next time. Today we've got a more involved problem. This is actually the fuel gauge, and it goes down inside of the tank right here. Bring it over so you see that. It's got a square opening right here inside the tank, and this slides down in there. But this just drops down inside of here like that. And then there's a bezel and a piece of glass and a gasket. And the way this thing works is kind of unique. Get it out of here. Let me show you how it works. It's got a little dial face where it's all gone. The face of the dial is missing. So we're going to have to figure out a way to recreate that. But the problem is, the face is gone. And this is the float. There's a square float that goes inside of here. And it just slides up and down this tube as the fuel raises and lowers. The problem with the float is, I don't know if you can see it here, get up close, it's got holes all the way around it. So this float's no good anymore. Now, in the middle of the float, there's a tube soldered, and on this side, there's just a little tiny opening here, a little slot made in this thing, and what happens is this gauge, back up so you can see what we're talking about here, yeah. This gauge fits in this little slot, and what happens is, try and do it here, try and hold this. As this raises and lowers, you can see the dial pointer rotate. It's like that. So this little strap is actually twisted into basically a screw pitch. So it's got maybe one turn per foot, a little over a foot, maybe one turn in 15, 16 inches. So as this float rises and lowers, it turns that little pointer on the face to indicate how much gas you have in the tank. And that was a 1921 fuel gauge. So I'm going to attempt to make a new one. I don't know how successful I'll be, but we're just going to try forming some copper around I made a little wooden block around it over the corners, and we're just going to try and stretch a piece of copper over a wood mandrel. So hope you join us and follow along, see how lucky we get. Hopefully it'll turn out okay. If it doesn't, we'll have to think of some other way to do this, but they do make some stuff now that's like solid plastic or some sort of a material to replace some of these old-time floats. And if I can't duplicate this originally, the way it was made originally, we may have to look at that as an option. But for right now, I want to try and see if how good we are at forming some copper. So let's do that. Well, let's see, guys. I've been a little farting around here on this float. This is our original with the hole in it. And I made a little pattern out of wood. And then I tried to press it with, annealed it and then put it in a press and tried to form it around here. Well, it tore. Didn't do a very good job on the first try. Then I tried just hammering it around and didn't like the finished results of that very much. Then I used another technique, and that also I wasn't happy with the overlap in the corners. Had too many overlaps. So I didn't care for that one. This one I decided to try another technique, and this is working. It's working. I think it's going to be the answer. I took a piece of I believe this is very hard rubber. It smells like it when you machine it. And I just machined a square slot or square hole in this old piece of it's real hard rubber, but machined real smooth and easy. And then still using the same mandrel here, put a little paste wax on it to help it come off. And this pressed in pretty good. And I'm going to try it in here. It fits nice and sloppy. So that's I think we're good on this outside diameter here. Now we just have to work on making another one. I'm going to try and make another one now. But as you can see, maybe you can't see, one is inside the other one, and then the seam is soldered together. But then you got to put this tube through here. This is another little trick we have to come up with. So all kinds of little things, hurdles we have to take on, but this seems to be pretty square, pretty straight, and I kind of like the way it pressed in. I had to anneal it a couple of times. I think I did about 3 or 4 times annealing it as I pressed it in. But what we're going to do with this next one, I'll try and bring you along on this one, and let's see what happens with the next one. Okay. All right. Okay. So, now, Okay. I think what we're going to do here, just take off a little bit off these corners. As we approach that, huh? Get the same amount on each corner. Let's see, how much should we move this? About 300 off. That'd be about right. Not like that. Okay. We'll just go anneal this and then we'll punch it in the hole. So I'm just going to put a little indentation in here now. That's our center mark. So now the next thing we got to do is go anneal this. So let's go do that. Okay, so this will just drop in there now and see if we can scoot it down some more. Okay. You want to anneal it some more? I need to put some more wax on this. Okay, well, we'll just... Starting to work loose, I think. Yeah, there it it goes. I can feel it. Felt it move. There it is. There we go. We have no taper on this. It's just a straight pull, so it's once it's on there. So let's give it another go. Okay. Set that aside. There's our center. Been punching a hole on the first several tries. I had a hole in here. I don't think it mattered. I didn't put a hole in this one, however, because I was worried about the way it might stretch. But I did put a little center point in there so I know where the center was. Hopefully that's still in the center. So I think I'll leave this out. I just want to make a little mark. Okay, I took a little piece of this foam and I'm going to stick it in here like that. And that's going to hold this from dropping out. So I can slide this on top like so. Very good. And I just have to get this squared up here. And find the hole. So leave that in there, I guess, just to see how it works. Maybe it'll help. I don't know. Okay, looks like we're stretching the metal. Needs to be annealed again. There we go. We'll anneal it. Okay, I've got a roll of pretty thin copper. Not sure what the thickness is. 36 gauge copper tooling foil. It's pretty old, guys. Got a price here of $8.05. That's probably for 1 inch, maybe. But this roll, there's probably, well, let's see what's it say. It's 5 foot by 16 inches. So it's a pretty big roll. I don't think there's been much used off of it. Here's probably the beginning of the roll, but I've had this forever. In fact, it belonged to my dad. It came from my dad, I'm sure. But let's figure out here just about how much material we're going to need to wrap this around. I'm just going to cut off a piece here. It should be wide enough there. Okay. All right. Now this float is actually made in 2 pieces, and it's joined here in the middle. So they made two sections and then slipped them together, and then soldered it together. So that's our plan, and then we'll have to get a hole in here. I wonder if I should put the hole in there to start with. That would probably be the smart thing, I guess, as opposed to try and line it up later. Because what I could do, I've got my wood mandrel dowel, whatever you want to call it, here. And if I put a hole in the center, the size, I could cut the hole of the, and also that would help hold it while I'm forming it over the edge. I think that's what we'll do. We'll figure out what size hole this needs to be. And I've got some real thin brass tubing that we can use for the tube there. So I'll go see if I can find a tube. We'll try and measure this up, and then we'll probably go over to the mill. And I think what I'm going to do is I just use the sander to get these edges, but to get them all uniform, I may just use a quarter round or round over bit to square these or round these corners off nice. Maybe I'll do it on this end since it hadn't been rounded yet. So there's 2 things.
Okay.